In this video, the Dean of Valuation analyzes the present market landscape, stating that the market is richly priced, but not in a bubble territory. He raises concerns about the sustainability of the recent impressive returns and advises a cautious investment strategy, considering the risk associated with holding cash amid substantial market growth over the past 2 years.
Nothing else coming off that high, it's going to be tough to continue in that momentum. So I think that's got to be kept in the equation somewhere.
Would you call the market overpriced, overvalued, or how would you assess it?
Yeah. I'd come down right in the middle. It is richly priced, but it's not bubble territory. I know people compare it to the late 90s. Here's the way I think about it. Am I going to sell everything and head for the hills? No, it's not that kind of market. Am I going to take every dollar of cash I have and throw it in the market? Not that kind of market either. So if I have cash, I might be a little more reluctant to put that cash to work in the market right away. But if nothing else, the last 2 years should tell us the cost of not being in the market. People sometimes ignore it when they think about being conservative and not going into markets. But you'd have given up 60% upside in the last 2 years by staying in cash. That's a lot to try to get back by market timing.
What do you make of the argument, as I brought up earlier, that you may not be able to get any more multiple expansion in 2025, but you could still get a good return next year because you're going to get better earnings growth than what was anticipated, in much respect because of the policies that are going to be introduced by this new administration. You buy that?
You know what? I'll take 8 to 10% returns after the last 2 years. That would be good enough for me. I'm not trying to get rich on the market. I just want to preserve and grow my wealth. So I'm not looking even for double-digit returns. If I make 8 to 10, that's good enough.
Interesting. When you look at the way that some of the AI-related trades have gone, when you look at the idea that the Nasdaq's had a bit of a resurgence, obviously. Right. We got to 20K for the first time ever. Are you surprised by that? Did you figure that this broadening that had finally, showed up was going to last longer? Or how do you assess that?
Not really. If you think about it, tech collectively, if you don't count the Mag 7, is up about 31%. And the market's up 25, 26%. That's where you'd expect tech to fall. So by itself, it's not like tech is taking off on its own. And the segment of technology, which is AI-driven, is a very, very small segment of the overall tech sector. So I think that the AI architecture part, obviously, the chips, the cloud storage business have taken off. But the AI product and service, market's being pretty cautious about piling into those stocks because until you can show me you can monetize those products and services, I'm not jumping in.
Well, what do you make of the outperformance of software versus chips? It's been pretty dramatic over the last few months. What's the signal?
I think that the architecture market has gotten ahead of itself. We've had NVIDIA alone had $2 trillion in market cap in the last year and a half. At some point, you got to stop and say, you're building all this architecture. What are you going to use the architecture for? So the next phase of AI is, I think, the use of the architecture, whether it's software, the products and services that emerge. So that's what I'd be looking for if I'm looking in the AI space, is converting that architecture to actually making money off that architecture.
I think we're trying to, take a look at what this new administration is going to bring, what deregulation and tax cuts are going to mean. DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, what that is going to mean. I know you have one sector square on your mind today beyond tech, and that is healthcare. Why so much, and how much does the recent debate, this growing discourse that's around the idea of health coverage, the cost of it, the companies that are in the center of that public storm?
No, I define a bad business as a business where nobody's happy. The producers are not happy, the consumers are not happy, the government is not happy. And if you use that definition, healthcare is in trouble. It was the worst performing sector of 2024. So the market's also already leading into 2025 with lots of questions. And I have a feeling that this might be that very strange moment in time where both sides, Democrats and Republicans, decide that something needs to be done, and if that's the case, you're going to see pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies in the eye of the storm. So to me, that's where you're going to see a lot of action in 2025. Doesn't make it a bad sector, but I think you've got to be picky about where you invest.
You feel like, as it relates to that the goalposts clearly have moved?
I absolutely do. I mean, I can't find a single person who will defend healthcare as offered today in the U.S. We're almost 20% of GDP is spent on healthcare, and the outcomes don't reflect that spending. Clearly, something needs to change. And I think that's a consensus. And once that's a consensus, there is going to be action. And that's why I think in 2025, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some major actions on healthcare. I don't know what they are, but they will affect the profitability and value of these businesses.
Would you stay away from all of those stocks as a result?
I don't have the luxury. I already have 4 of them in my portfolio. The question you got to face is, including United Healthcare.
Would you sell it?
I did sell half of my United Healthcare leading into 2025. Again, it's not a signal that I think it's overvalued, but it's done well for me in my portfolio. But at this stage, I think that there is a reckoning coming, and I'm worried about what United Healthcare and other companies like it will feel as a consequence.
I just want to make sure I got this correct. You sold half of it since the incident here in Manhattan?
Yes.
Okay. Professor, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.